Support the Amigos podcast and keep the Amiga goodness flowing for just $1 a month. Visit our page at patreon.com/AmigosPodcast.
Amiga, the first personal computer that gives you a creative edge.
Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Battle for the Ashes.
Yeah, man.
Now Aaron, I've brought along a visual aid for this show.
Okay.
I don't remember what you've done with it. You've wisely taken it off the table from the place where I'd set it.
I was enjoying it.
This is a cricket ball that my friend James Eggington gave to me.
The egg.
Before I left England for the last time.
Really?
Well, it wasn't for the last time because I think I went back.
Now, is that a game ball boat?
I think this was actually used in a real game ball. It's conforming to MCC regulations.
What's MCC?
Major Cricket Championship.
No kid. Did you just make that
Yes.
up? Okay.
This is from Gun and Moore in Nottingham, England. So,
the ball is harder than I would have anticipated.
yeah.
That explains why the some of the fellows wear those big like leg paddings.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would probably jack you up.
It's got a pretty nasty double seam. You want that ripping across your skin. You don't want that. So, but we will leave this here just in case anyone wants to gaze upon it throughout the show. But really, what we came here to talk about is your love affair with the sport of cricket. How many years does it go back since you first took the pitch, Aaron?
Well, but I think the affair began with the young Peter Davison as the fifth Doctor Who. He was the crooked doctor. He came out in the full ensemble with the celery stalk out the pocket. Mm-hmm. And in all seriousness, that's probably the first time I saw cricket or anything having to do with cricket, which is not a sport that I've ever seen here in the States. I believe it was a great episode. There's an episode of Doctor Who where Doctor plays cricket.
Really?
Yeah, and I read a little behind the scenes on it. They said Peter was like killing it that day. They were actually playing. They just took some highlights. He was killing it. He looks great out there. He's running. He's going crazy. He's also the bowler, and he's just going nuts. But he always wore that sort of ensemble, outfit. And there's another episode. Speaking of these balls, I love this. It was and I think I may have mentioned this before. But there's an episode where he has jumped out of a spaceship or been ejected. I can't remember. He's in space. He's floating in space. Right, nothing, no tether, and he needs to get to the TARDIS, I think it was, or maybe back in the ship. So he's got a crooked ball on him because he's a crooked guy, and he throws the ball, and it hits the side of the spaceship and bounces back, and he catches it, and that propels him backwards into the door. One of the all-time great Doctor Who moments.
Man, I need to see that episode.
It was. I think it was called 4 to Doomsday. It was the fourth episode, I believe. But don't hold me to that. But anyway, that would be my small bit of foray into the whole cricket scene. I hear about cricket a lot. There have been cricket games on computers we've fooled with. But until this week, I knew nothing of the game or any of its participants. What about yourself?
Well, as you know, I spent a year in England going to graduate school. And you'd think that in that year I would have at least found time to make it to a Saturday afternoon game where everyone comes and sits on bleachers and watches a full day of test cricket. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I never did that, not even one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, why is that, Bo?
Well, I didn't know anybody I didn't feel comfortable going by myself. It was sort of like when you go see Rocky Horror for the first time. You don't want to go alone. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, I was more enamored with our good old sport of American baseball, which amazingly is played in England, albeit in a very small scale.
Really? I was wondering about that.
I played for our local team, our local town team, the Sheffield Blade Runners.
Is that?
And this is the hat that I wore on the field.
Good name.
Yeah, the Sheffield Blade Runners. Pretty cool, right? Mm-hmm. So
I never knew that people played ball in leagues.
Yeah,
and they have a town league.
They've got a town league, and so we played against Nottingham and Rotherham and Lincolnshire and all these different places, and it was really cool. unfortunately, I think that kind of ate into my cricket watching time because the seasons kind of coincide. But I did receive this ball, and I have watched several YouTube videos.
Yes. Now, let me ask you a question real quick.
Okay.
Now, since you played baseball over there, and of course baseball's much less popular.
Yes.
How does cricket stand up against the old football over there? Is that would you say cricket's what, the number 2, number 3?
No,
sport?
I would say cricket is probably a distant fourth.
Really, and what would the top 3 be?
The first one, definitely the football.
Yeah.
You got multiple teams.
Sure, I knew that one. But what's number 2 and 3?
Number 2, you're gonna be shocked, but I think that darts is probably more popular than cricket.
Well,
in
but
England.
dart, listen, yeah, I'll give you. But that's not something that you're gonna have a big stadium full of people out coming to see. Like in America, you got football, baseball, basketball, hockey.
Rugby, definitely more popular than cricket.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then I put cricket number 4th.
Mm-hmm. Number the 4th. Now, I know cricket is big in India.
Yes.
And Australia.
Yes. India, Australia, Sri Lanka, the West Indies, very big cricket scene. Basically, anywhere that Britain went to colonize, they left behind a legacy, or some might say a rotting disease of cricket.
Now, cricket's much more ancient sport than American baseball.
Yes, it's older.
But I'm assuming that Abner Doubleday borrowed heavily from the cricket. I mean, there are very, very many similarities.
Well, there are, but there aren't. The story of Abner Doubleday, of course, is entirely fiction. That was concocted by newspaper writers.
Yeah, but I like to say that. But what about? I guess my question is: the baseball, whoever invented it, or the multitudes,
there's a British game called Rounders.
Yeah, okay, I've heard
that.
of that.
Is much more akin to baseball than cricket is. Cricket is like baseball in that there's a bat and a ball.
Well, I mean, and you've got fielders, and they're fielding balls. They're sort of like home runs.
Yeah, but anytime you've got a bat and a ball, you're going to have a home run. I mean, just look at tennis. So
maybe when you play.
Would you like to hear how cricket is played? Are you interested?
I've got to get. I watched. You sent me an instructional video.
Okay,
and I
so
watched
you've
it
already figured it
times.
out.
No, but I've got a general idea on how it works.
Okay, so why don't you explain to me?
No, don't put me on the spot. Now, you got the bowler.
Right.
You got the batsman.
Right. The batsman.
You've got the.
You say it like 1940s Batman.
Batsman.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the sort of like a catcher back there, and you've got the sticks.
Yep, the wickets.
With the wickets, and you've got the little gimmicks that go on top of the wickets.
Right.
And so the bowler takes a good run. He cannot go across the line.
True.
Otherwise, the guy gets a run.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he bounces the ball in, which just an act of, I don't know how they would do that.
It's a very different delivery than a baseball.
It's goofy. I don't know how they can even make that work.
Yeah.
I wonder if the running actually helps or it's just distracting. I'm not lying. I'm not being facetious. Does it help?
I think
when
so.
When you run in like a freaking madman. There's an episode of Young Ones where Vivian runs in with the ball and just cracks Rick right in the face with the ball and just punches him with it.
Well, he wouldn't have been able to get that kind of force if he hadn't ran up to it.
Yeah, but he didn't throw it. He just whacked him with it. Anyway, so you've got that. So they throw it in, and if he doesn't go across the line, the batsman. Now this is the part that's wacky to me, right? In baseball, you're hitting the ball, you're trying to knock it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Now, stop me if I'm wrong, but in cricket, you're sort of like protecting the wicket as much as anything, almost like a goalie.
This is the part of the game that differs from baseball.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are simultaneously trying to do two things. You're trying to hit the ball very far as you can, and you're also trying to protect the wicket from being knocked over.
Which I never understood. I didn't know that at first. I had to watch the videos. That's an
so
interesting
you kind of have to
dynamic.
You kind of have to bat defensively and offensively at the same time.
Right. It's almost like you're an offensive goalie.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's great way to put it.
And then if the ball hits the wicket and knocks the little gimmicks off, bam.
Yeah. Now these balls.
That's bad for the batter.
These balls can be delivered as fast as 90 miles an hour.
And these things are hard too. I mean, you can probably pop a sucker.
There's baseball pitchers that can throw 100, but they're few and far between.
Right.
The 90 is probably the average of a fastball pitcher. Maybe there's people in cricket that can throw it faster, but from what I read, 90 is sort of the top barrier.
Now, something I read boat, and it's in the game we're going to cover.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got your blazing, super hot fastball throwers, bowlers, right? But then you've got some finesse guys
Right.
too, right? Now you've got they spin the ball.
They're like the Greg Maddux of cricket.
How does that? It hits the ground. It spins in. What happened? What's the difference? Something like that's slower.
If it's spinning in from an angle, it's gonna be harder to hit, just like hitting a curveball.
When it hits the ground, it just goes off in a crazy direction.
Exactly. And you're thinking that it's going to come in one direction and then it spins off in another. Maybe you leave your wicket unprotected. I know I've been there.
Man, you don't want to do that. Now let me ask you another question. This is a rules question. Let's say the bowler tosses the ball in and the guy hits the ball. It's a little tapper. It just goes a couple feet. All right. What does that mean?
Okay, so there's 2 rings, okay, that surround the field.
Okay.
Right,
I know that. There's the boundary ring, and then so the other ring is called what? The inner one.
The inner ring.
Okay. Really?
Okay. No, I just made that up.
Well, don't tell me fake rules. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, if you hit the ball, you got
somewhere.
you got to take off. You got to start running.
Yeah, but a lot of times these guys just tap it. They don't even leave.
Well, if you don't feel like you can make it to the other side, then you don't have to run. I guess that's a big difference between baseball
I see.
right
So
off the bat.
Right there, that's a what do they call that when you don't run?
I'm sure there's a word, but I don't know what that's called. But anyway, so that's what you can do. Or if you hit the ball outside of the boundary, then you get 4 runs.
4 runs. If it's over the wall, you get 6.
Right.
I got that.
Okay. That's literally the entire game. Okay. If you hit the ball out in the inner boundary and you start running back and forth, then you get as many runs as you get.
Right.
If you hit a grounder and it goes past the inner ring, then the fielders have to get it. And in the meantime, you're running back and forth trying to rack up ones, and those are 1 at a time.
Now, if a fielder catches the ball, that's a
I think that's an out. You're just.
Right. And if you catch the guy, if you knock the gimmick off the wicket before the runner passes the crease,
Also out.
you're an out.
Right.
Right. If the batsman hits the ball twice on the same pitch, he's out. And there was something else that caused him to be. There's a couple other things that caused him to be out. So, yeah, I mean, I played it. I thought I knew sort of what was going on.
And when we're talking about boundary, I guess I'm not talking about like a wall. What I mean is there's like a circle drawn on the field, and that's like the inner circle. Then there's the outer boundary. So you can't actually knock it out of the inner circle. I mean, you can if it's in the air, but.
So the thing you're telling me is if the guy just whacks it goes a couple feet, and he doesn't run, he just gives himself up, basically.
That's what I believe happens.
See, because I didn't get that part. I couldn't tell what was happening.
Yeah. Now, when we talk about the game, we'll talk about some of the things that I believe they could have done better to make this more apparent. But for now, Aaron, we need to talk about this week's Amiga news.
Okay, all right. I'm ready for it.
Now, we've been talking quite a bit, and the reason why is because there's not a whole lot of news this week.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Is that why we did that? I thought we were just having a lovely chat.
So the only news that I was able to find this week, and we don't normally cover games before they come out, but this is a playable demo.
Ooh, playable.
Yeah, at the end of last year, a Rygar port was announced. An AGA Rygar port for the Amiga was announced. Did you ever play Rygar in arcades?
Absolutely, yeah.
This one is coming to us from. Well, I thought I had it queued up, but I don't know. Oh, McGeezer, of course.
That's a good name.
And so Saberman's put up a video. This is the first 6 levels are playable here.
So this is currently out, because I know this has been in the works for quite a while. It looks good.
Yeah.
Wow, that looks dead on to the arcade, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so when this comes out, I definitely want to have a look at it, because much like you, I'm a fan of the fast-paced kind of action arcade game.
I like this game, but it is difficult. I'm not going to say I was good at it, because I'm absolutely not, but I've got to say, I could not differentiate this from the arcade version, and I've played the arcade version more than a few times. Looks pretty good.
It does look really good. Unfortunately, the audience never saw it because I had the wrong window queued up the whole time.
Trust me, guys, it looks great.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Rygar. It's coming out for AGA Amiga soon. First 6 levels, demo playable now.
Now, do we know if this is going to... I'm assuming this is going to be at some point released on the free, since it's a... sort of an illegal port.
I don't think that they would have the guts to try and sell this thing.
No, have the guts, man. Go for it.
Yeah. And with that, that's really the only news I could scrounge up this week.
We do have an entry from the Dreamcatcher.
We do.
Should probably talk about it real quick.
Let's talk about that real quick.
I noticed this earlier today when I was surfing around. It's entitled "Never Tell Me the Odds." What can you name the movie that's from?
That is the Star Wars.
That's right. That was Han Solo. DK looks at a game that we've talked about just via the name only. Because I remember early on in the Amigos, we'll always list off some of the stuff that the guy did, and this was one amongst the games. I was like, man, we got to try this. Innocent Until Caught.
Sounds like my life.
It's a great name. And I'm just looking over it here. I haven't read this article yet because I just saw it pop up. But looking over it, it looks pretty good. It's like a point-and-click space game, and which the graphics look outstanding. So this would definitely we're going to put on the list. And of course, Dreamcatcher goes into ridiculous detail as he always does. So,
this looks like this is definitely more in the Indiana Jones / Flight of the Amazon Queen art style rather than the Future Wars art style that we covered last week. Wouldn't you say?
It's funny you should mention that. I went back and played some more Future Wars this week just to try to get a little further, and my patience were a little higher. And that is a fun game. I enjoy it. The writing stuff's clever, but the pixel hunting never stops.
Yeah.
And so I gave up again. Sorry, hopefully this one won't be like that. But yeah, that looks great. Looks really good. This isn't really news, but I'm going to mention it, and it's, I love this phrase, but there's a gray area. It's a gray area. And a fellow on the Amiga Facebook group, and I think also on Amiga Disrupt, has released an all-encompassing, super-duper compact flash image this week.
Really?
Now, he released an HDF file a couple weeks ago, and it's tremendous. He has categorized demos and games and everything.
Wow.
A very nice package.
This is on Amiga Disrupt, you say. I don't even know what that means.
It's on the Amiga, the big Amiga Facebook page. I think Neil runs.
Yeah, I'm on there.
And then also, I think it seems like it was on Disrupt, but I'm not 100% sure. I get those two confused. I went and got me an 8 gig compact flash drive so I could dump this on it because this thing crushes what I got. It's much more. This fellow is very much more attention to detail oriented than I am. So if you can calmly go down this gray road. Now I will say it does not include Kickstart ROMs, so you're on your own there because we don't want to do anything illegal.
True.
But it does include a ton of stuff. So if you're on Facebook, the Amiga Facebook section, I would if you just look for 2 seconds, you'll see it. It's very popular.
And probably you could take that HDF and just put it on your hard drive.
You absolutely can on your emulator.
Yeah.
I've already done that, and it works quite nicely. I don't think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Just while we got a few seconds, and we're not going to go into this, but I don't know if anyone had noticed a couple weeks ago. Now they had the fellow from Cloanto was interviewed.
Mike.
We talked about it quite a bit in the Discord for Amigos. Now you met this fellow.
I did. I talked to him. I taped an interview with him.
Yeah, and something technical happened.
Yeah, no sound.
No sound. You should just put it up. And we could have just dubbed it in.
Yeah.
Hey, Bert, how are you? My name's Mike.
He sounds just like that. It's amazing.
And he's Italian, isn't he?
Yes, I think so.
And this is an interesting, and the guy that's interviewing him is a Amiga community luminary whose name I can't remember. This is an interesting. It's an interesting thing to watch and to get Cloanto's view on some of this stuff. But I can save you a couple hours of tedium when I say the phrase "we'll wait till the court decision comes down" repeats itself early and often in this interview. And there are no what I would call biting or hard questions. It's softball mania, run a wild. But I watched the whole thing. And Mike seems like a great guy.
He's very nice.
Real nice guy. But I don't think the situation's very nice. And I have a feeling it's funny to listen to how how Cloanto's vision includes all this community love and separate brands and open sourcing. So we'll see if that actually happens when the rubber meets the road. But it was an interesting interview. I'll try to link it up in our news section. I'll send you over to it. So
sounds
you can put
good.
it up if you get a chance to watch it. And I believe there's going to be an interview done with someone from I think Hyperion if it's not already done.
Really?
So it'll be interesting to see the other side of the coin here. I'm not sure there is. This is one of those situations. I don't think there's a good guy or a bad guy. I just think there's a couple companies trying to make a buck.
We just disagree.
No, see that's the difference. We're not trying to make a buck. These guys are out there trying to make a buck in the Amiga world, and they're fighting for supremacy or whatever you want to call it. But I found it interesting. I meant to mention that last time, and I totally forgot. So if you get a chance, check it out. We'll link it up.
Okay.
I'll send it over to Bo.
Sounds good. Well, Aaron, it's time. It's time to talk about this week's game. Let's talk about Battle for the Ashes.
All right. Now, just as a history lesson, but before we get into the game, because I'm not even gonna quiz you because I know you don't know what the heck this junk is. I looked because I didn't know what the heck the Battle for the Ashes
Oh, I do know
was.
this.
So you do know this.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone?
So this is the annual match. It's a test match. It's not a
Yeah.
T20 match.
First of all, explain that to everybody, because we got a lot of Americans or cricket uninformed. Just give them a brief idea of what the different three matches that I saw.
so like there's T20 cricket, which is like the new kid on the block. And
Is that true?
And it's supposed to entice young people to watch cricket because it's over in a day.
It's like, there's like, from what I read, there's like a 3-hour version. Then there's like a day version. And then there's like one that goes like 5 days.
Yeah. So Test cricket, which is like the Battle for the Ashes, is the 5-day special. T20, I guess, is the 3-hour, and then I don't know what the other thing is.
Yeah, there's
What
another
thing you're
one
talking about.
that's sort of it said a day, like a day type of event. So I don't. You got me.
Yeah.
Now I was going to ask you about
One
this.
day. Thank you, Gary.
So when you see an event like a 5-day event, okay, this is 5 legitimate days, not 24 hours a day, but 5 days of cricket action.
Solid.
Is this played in? Is this sort of like the World Series? I mean, people come out for 5 days, there's only one winner and loser, right?
Right.
It's not like they're one day one team wins and the next day another team wins.
Well, I think it's the score is carried over to the next day.
I mean, what happens if on day 2 one team's jumped out to a ridiculous lead? Who's going to show up to watch the last 3 days of a pounding?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I have no idea. And that's probably something I should have researched before we started the show. Exactly how.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
testing-
what can you research about that? I guess you just have a passion for it, or you get used to it, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll sit through a 12 or 15 round boxing match when one guy just gets pummeled.
That's true.
And it can
If
be
your
kinda boring.
if your team's in the lead, it might not be as boring.
Yeah. So,
And plus, you can't undersell the incredible amount of drinking that goes on at all cricket events.
oh,
That's the one thing everybody I talked to in England said.
Yeah.
Going to cricket, you just better get blitzed.
so it's sort of like going to like the
races.
Derby.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, something else I was going to mention is like now I watched like that Doctor Who. And I saw a couple other things where the cricket match took place in an area where there's like almost like a country club. People were sitting around sipping.
Yeah,
and they were all well dressed.
It's very much a horse track atmosphere.
And
for
people,
sure.
after like a particularly cunning move, people go like, "Oh, well done, sir," and that kind of stuff. And then I saw some matches in a stadium with like a zillion people.
I think the difference is I think that maybe British cricket is sort of like what you describe, and then in countries like Sri Lanka and the West Indies, I think it's more of a stadium atmosphere. That's my guess.
I see. So, let's talk about the Battle of the Ashes, the actual event. So, this is I like why this came to be. So, this is like you said, it's a Test cricket series. It's England versus Australia. Now, get this, Bo. Let's see if you knew this. Right
Okay.
Here. The term originated as a satirical obituary published in a British newspaper, the Sporting Times, immediately after Australia's 1882 victory at the Oval. In its first Test win on English soil, the obituary stated that English cricket had died and that the body will be cremated and the ashes taken to Australia.
Wow, that's a cool story.
That's a brutal. And
yeah.
so that's what. So in '83, that was a big deal, and so the English captain vowed to regain those ashes. And so eventually someone donated like a little urn, and that's basically how the whole thing shaped up.
I think that's cool.
Now here's something else I thought was interesting. There have been a ton of these matches over the years, and as of the writing of this wiki,
let me guess who's won more.
All right, go ahead.
Australia.
Well, yes, but get this. Yeah, well done. There have been 70 of these, all right, and Australia's won 33, England won 32, and there's been 5 draws. That's crazy.
That is.
That's crazy. That's a crazy stat. So anyway, that's what you're talking about. Now, in the game, you get to play Australia or England. That's
Right.
those are
Your only 2 teams. Have you ever played a sports game that featured only a choice of 2 teams?
Yes. Yeah. Bunch of
Have you
times.
ever played a 16-bit game that came out in the 90s that only featured 2 teams? So that's strike one.
I have.
That's strike one.
Lakers versus Celtics.
There's other teams in that game.
No, there's not. Lakers versus Celtics. That's all they're in there. Also, what about one-on-one? You only get one player from one team.
That was released in 1982, not 1995.
What about John Elway's quarterback?
You can play different teams than John
You
Elway's
can't?
quarterback. Yes, you can. I own the game. It's over there on the shelf.
You own? No, I'm talking about the arcade version.
I don't play those games.
Well, I'm just saying. So anyway, enough of you. Battle for the Ashes. Now, this came out in 95. And we'll get back to this connection to another game here in a second. Came out on one disc. Remember that. You can play one or two player.
You can have the computer go
You can have the
against each
computer
other.
fight each
Yep.
other. It'll run on any Amiga. And they also converted this over to the Atari ST and DOS. And it was made, well, it says here that the developer was unknown, but it was done by an outfit called Audiogenic.
Right.
And allegedly the Amiga version here was based on the PC version from 1994. Now, have you heard of a game called, and I love this name,
Graham Gooch.
the Graham Gooch
Yeah, man.
World Class Cricket?
Me and Graham go way back. One of the first Amigos plays I ever did was Graham Gooch
Right.
Cricket.
Well, then, so you should have been more than a little familiar with this particular game.
Yeah.
It's basically the exact same game.
Yes.
So, Graham, now here's the wacky thing about the whole Gooch thing. Gooch is a great name.
It is.
By the way. You remember the famous The Gooch?
No.
Who was the Gooch? Where was that? It was
Apparently you don't
it was
either.
somebody's bully. Oh, it was Different Strokes. I think the guy, Arnold's bully was called Gooch, I believe. Anyway, Graham Gooch, World Class Cricket came out in 93.
I know he's got a killer mustache,
Yeah.
Graham Gooch.
I saw a picture of him in the
Yeah.
game. So it came out like 2 years before this one, yet is far more developed than
Yes.
this one is, which we'll get to that in a moment. They took some hits for that boat, I'm not going to lie to you. So what is this? Well, it's basically just what we said. It's cricket, and you get to play 1 or 2 teams. There are options. There's a difficulty option. I believe the options are amateur, professional, amateur, advanced. It's beginner, amateur, world class, and professional, with world class being the highest one.
Okay.
Again, 1 or 2 players. One of the things I noticed right away is that Graham Gooch was 2 discs, so they cut this one way back to fit it on disc. But this is basically the budget version of the Gooch. Really, what you would think, but in 2 years the Gooch would have been a budget by that point, but it wasn't. And so this one was released, I believe it was £10 when it
It
came.
was a budget title.
That's right. Yeah, budget. It was a cut down version. Now, the one thing about this I will say is that you can actually use I thought this was strange. You can use the 1994/1995 data disc for this.
Really?
Yeah.
So you could just slide that into this game and have it work?
Yeah, I don't know, and I think I don't know how that. I don't know if they just get more teams. I don't know, or they just update these rosters. Something else I wasn't sure of is, were these legitimate rosters? And I looked, and as far as I could tell, these were, at the time, these were the legitimate, up-to-date rosters as to when the game was released.
Okay.
So I don't know. I guess cricket doesn't have a strong union,
I'm sure they don't have a union at all.
Yeah, so I doubt any of these guys saw Dime 1 from the old Ashes.
Let me just say before we go any further.
Yeah.
This is probably going to be the episode in which contains the most inaccurate information of all time.
Oh, yes.
Nothing. We don't know anything about cricket.
No.
Sporting unions in England.
No. What, are you afraid the youth's going to come after it for bad-mouthing them? All I'm saying is I
putting that out
doubt
there.
all these guys got paid. Because nowadays in baseball, if you mention a guy's name in a game, you better drive a dump truck full of money into their house.
Yeah.
Because they'll come after you. They got real strong unions over here, the leagues do. Boat, since you're more familiar with the sport, why don't you take the folks try to describe this?
Okay.
What's happening here? I got the coin flip. and
So when I played Graham Gooch, I think I might have had a faulty WHD file because I was able to do more with this game. Also, it ran at tip-top hyper mega speed, and it was before I knew how to control the speed on emulators.
talking about Gooch?
Yeah, when I was playing
Yeah.
Gooch. So I was much more successful in this game. This game is a batting and pitching, or bowling, I'm sorry, a bowling and batting simulator. You control either the bowler or the batsman.
Yep.
And when you bowl, you can choose the type of ball that you bowl, the type of pitch that you throw in our parlance. And to approach the mound, instead of just letting the guy automatically run, you can actually control the speed of your run.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice.
Yes, this is you waggle your way to the line. As
The
it
old
were.
waggle. Brooks. I did not expect a waggle in this game. It really struck me.
I actually had to look to the docs to figure out how to make my
Because I was like, man, how do you pitch faster? What do I do? It's like,
I was like,
run faster.
Yeah, I was like, surely, that would have been the last thing I would have put in a game at this time. I mean, when you think about the waggle as a gaming concept, by 95, the world had sort of moved on. The era of the waggle had passed.
And this one, if you don't waggle, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're screwed.
Your guy throws up a lot of duds.
Yeah. So
among other things.
Anyway, you waggle your way to the line. You release the ball. I'm sorry. There's a square that appears on the pitch. That kind of gives you some sort of an understanding of where your ball will go.
I think that's for the batter, though. From what I read in the documentation, I mean, the pitcher moves it, but it helps the batter have an idea of which way the ball's going to
sure.
come in.
I think it helps you both. Really, I guess it really doesn't matter to but I mean, like you want to set up because you're trying to knock down the other guy's wickets. The square moves eerily similar to the way that the target moves in Jockey Wilson darts, sort of drunkenly meanders across the pitch.
Well, I mean, you sort of control it.
It's not as
hard as Jockey Wilson. It's a lot easier.
It's more similar. But anyway, you deliver the ball, and then at that point, the game is over for you, the defense. Because at that point, the computer takes complete control. He will field the ball, and he will throw it to the correct catcher. I can't remember. What did you say the catcher's name was called?
I don't have a name for him. The guy that looks, it's sort of like a catcher.
Yeah. He throws it to him, and then you resume your bowling. Okay? As batter, you push the button to swing the bat. I believe that you can use the stick to project your angle.
You have to. Oh, yeah, that's super important. Yeah, you got to use the stick.
And as soon as you hit the ball, you press the button to wicket keeper. Yeah. You press the button to run, and you run back and forth as many times as you feel like you need to.
Yeah.
And so that is the entire force of this game. So there's really not a whole lot to it. And from what I gather, all cricket games are like this. At least all cricket games of this era. I was flabbergasted. I went through and I played at all the difficulty levels, trying to figure out how to control the fielders, because this is something that baseball games have known how to do since the 80s. Your computer controls the overall position of your fielders, and the computer switches to human control when the ball is approaching one of the guys. To not have that in this game just seems like, I mean, what are we doing here? What are we playing?
Well, I will say you can change the formation of your guys, so you can do that. Of course, there are substitutions. You can do all that, because that's all standard fare stuff. You can you've got some control, especially when you've got the non-fastball throwing pitcher bowlers. You can kind of control the curvature and where it's going to go, sort of. What really there were things in this game that I thought, I need to listen again. Our knowledge of this sport is low. But there were things that happened and I was like, why did he do that? And I couldn't figure out why he did it. And so I was reading some reviews, and other people would be like, boy, the computer's dumb. It keeps doing this. And I was like, that's what it was doing to me. So I wasn't dumb. Like, for example, if the ball gets behind your keeper, like, you don't know, who knows what's going to happen there. Or sometimes I'll just throw it to the wrong guy. Sometimes I'm sure I can get a guy's knock his wicket off or whatever, and the guy goes the wrong or runs the length of the pitch the wrong side. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so that didn't make, between my lack of knowledge and my lack of understanding and the fact that the game made dumb choices, that didn't help my understanding of this game. I did not even come close to trying any of the harder difficulties. I had a heck of a time. I mean, it reminded me sort of like a home run derby.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where
it's very similar.
Where you just sort of, I mean, when you're pitching, you're bowling, right? But when you're batting, it's a lot like home run derby with some waggling, in between. I do think that this is a comment on the sport itself. The fact that you've got a couple guys, you've got basically two bowlers and two batsmen at the same time, and they run back and forth. It's in lieu of bases or whatever. It is intriguing in a strange way.
I mean, it's just the game.
I watched some. Listen, I tried to get my head around this. We've tried darts, like you said, football, and all this stuff I wasn't real familiar with, or what was the other thing? The Jimmy White's snooker. And so this one was the hardest to understand, even harder than snooker, because I got a pretty good idea what was going on in that. But when I thought I knew, I still wasn't quite sure, so I had to ask you questions. But this, I mean, is this an approximation of the game? Because if you read the back of the box, this is supposed to be a top shelf simulator with that's top. I mean, do the stats matter? I can't say. Do the
yeah, I mean a lot of the enjoyment from this game presupposes that you are a cricket fan, and you understand the strategy on a level that we simply do not.
Yeah.
On the upside, there's a lot to like about cricket. It is so much easier. Have you ever tried to explain baseball to somebody that doesn't know how to play baseball?
It would. I mean, any baseball or football would be difficult to explain.
I've discovered from having a wife from Thailand that our sports are by far the most complex, difficult thing, needlessly difficult in most cases.
Yeah.
The way things are. And so this game is. I understand what you're supposed to do. And in a way, like, this is an easier to grok game than baseball, which has got that in its favor. Another, all of the field positioning stuff, I mean, it's better to have control over your players, but you'd want to have, it's sort of like the shifts, you set up a shift in the outfield in baseball. It would have been cool to have more, I don't know, it just seems like running back and forth. You don't really have, I don't know if, like, once you start running, you can't go back, right? As far as like when
you can go back.
You can go back.
Okay. You can hit that button and they'll go back.
Right. And so, like, there's not, like, you can't really get caught in a rundown like you can in baseball.
Yeah.
But in this game's favor, I guess, the animation of the bowler running up the pitch is very. I have a feeling that they spent like 95% of their time just working on that.
The game,
because that looks so good.
It does. The actual, if you looked at the back of this on the box, you'd be like, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Something I wonder about is, and maybe you can include me on this boat. The field is so you're a team of 10, I believe, and you've got one guy as a backup in case somebody gets hurt. So you have 11 guys, right? It doesn't seem like. This seems like the least interesting team type sport I've ever seen, because the other parts of the team, how important are those guys that just got to linger around the field? Also, how often do those guys become the bowler? Do they bowl? Are there some guys that never do the bowling?
I don't think there's a designated bowler like there is, or a designated batter. Are you talking about bowling? I think that there's
I'm
bowlers.
Talking about the guys. Are there guys out in the field that also? I mean, because you can switch guys. You can switch to any of them you want.
Yeah.
Does everyone on the team bowl, or is it just a couple?
No.
Like it's like pitchers here.
Yeah, definitely. You're not going to get your fielders out there bowling, but everybody gets to bat.
Yeah, I know the batting.
It's just like baseball, except I think it's not like American League Baseball. I think the bowlers bat.
I wonder if their bowlers are good batters, because over here the pitcher's stinking batting.
That's a great question.
These are the questions that I wonder.
Please leave us a comment. Correct every single mistake that we've made, because I want to be set straight on all this stuff.
Now, did you play this when it rained?
No, I didn't play with the weather.
I sat around waiting for it to rain, and I never saw rain. But the docs say that there's rain.
They say it's going to rain, and they make it seem like it's going to rain often. They say if it rains once, it's likely to rain again.
Yeah, I'm assuming it does rain.
Maybe you have to set up. Maybe you have to be in day 3 of the test match. I didn't make it out of day 1. It's just.
I played
forever.
5 days.
You played 5 days?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and I mean, many times.
Wow.
Listen, I had to get in. Because I was trying to understand. Listen, I tried to do a decent look at these things.
Yeah.
The fielding and stuff too. I will say that is without doubt the weakest points of the game is the fielding. And it's not only is it confusing, but again, they could have done a better job. And especially, and something else that bothers me about this, like I mentioned earlier, this is a game that was released in '95. You had 2 years to do something, and you just took and basically cut this thing down to practically nothing. Because I was reading a lot of reviews of this. And a lot of the reviews mentioned that, like in Gooch, you could edit the teams and stuff, and you could really do some some managerial type. In this, you can't edit any of the teams. You're pretty much boned.
Yeah. Again, they were selling this as a budget release. If you wanted to upgrade to the full version,
right? But 2 years after, what was Gooch going for? Is what I want to know. When this was released, how much could it possibly be going?
That's
for?
a good question. I wonder if one of the reasons why this was the last cricket game is because you could buy Gooch, a better game, 2 years older. For probably, maybe you could get it for £5.
Something else I noticed when I looked at this thing is I always check Lemon, right? This is the only game I've ever seen on Lemon that we've covered, except I've covered some stuff on my own. This is the only game I've ever seen on there that had no reviews.
Right.
None.
I noticed that too.
I couldn't freaking believe that. I did look up a couple wacky things here. You know that coin you flip?
Yeah.
It's a 10 pence coin.
They call it a loonie.
Well, no, that's not what I found. What was it they called this thing? They had a name for it though, and it wasn't a loony. I thought that was an Australian thing. The loony.
It's a Canadian thing.
Canadian. So you were just being a jerk boy when you said that.
What did they call it?
I don't know. I can't find where. Can't find where.
It's an amazing story.
Oh yeah, it's a two bob.
Two bob.
Two bob. That's what I read. One of the reviews that said in the 70s that was known as two bob. Maybe that's crap. That's what the reviewer said. But I thought that was kind of neat.
I'd call it a two bob.
Yeah. The coin flip I had was a master of the coin flip. I will say that. I got that part down. But the rest of it, I think I would like to play Gooch now just to see what I'm missing.
Yeah, me too. Although, knowing that you still don't have control, if there was a cricket game that gave you control over the fielders, I'd play the heck out of it.
Well, I'll look. The Amiga had, according to Lemon, it had 14 cricket games.
Which is a fair amount.
Yeah, it is. And so, surely, and I don't think this is the. I will say Gooch is very well regarded. In fact, it may be the top of the heap. So I don't know how the other ones do, but maybe we'll have to try another cricket game now that we have a basic understanding, the most basic understanding of what cricket is. Maybe we can figure out how to play it.
I can't think of any platform like. For example, do you think that there's more than 14 baseball games on the Nintendo? I mean, that's an incredible amount of games.
Because they release them year to year.
That's true.
I mean, now there's definitely that. But in the old days, you never know. So let's get to the particulars here, Boat. I had a look at the. By the way, this was a very popular demo. I should mention that it was a magazine. It was released in a magazine.
This was a demo?
No, the demo for this game was popular.
What would you put on the demo for this game?
I guess
it's already
maybe
a demo.
Maybe you play a certain amount of time or something, but I read a lot of people talking about playing the demo.
I can't imagine cutting it down any more than it already is.
The score on a Lemon on this was 7.4, which is still a pretty good score. It's funny, this, as I recall, this got a higher score than Gooch.
It's poor for a Lemon.
But make sense out of that. This got a higher score on Lemon than Gooch.
Well, it's because again, how many reviews did this game
Well,
get?
it didn't have a ton. Amiga Action. These are all from February or March of '95. Amiga Action gave us an 87. Amiga Format gave it a 70. Amiga Power, a 65.
Killed it.
AUI was the Australian mag for the Amiga, 60%.
Woo.
They were murdering this thing, and the one gave it 70. Now, I am not going to give this a thumbs up or thumbs because I feel like my limited knowledge of cricket will not allow me to, make an opinion. But it was sort of fun, but not a whole lot of fun.
Of all, I think that you made a really good comparison. We've discovered a whole bunch of sports thanks to this show, and of all of the sports that we've learned about, darts, snooker, cricket. Was there another one? Football. This is the least of all of them. Like snooker, I'd sit down and play Jimmy White with you right now. Aquatic games, the great British.
I'm torn on the sport. I'll tell you why. I watched a match. Is that what they're called? A cricket match. I watched some of a cricket match from I think it was India. Right? And I found it kind of slow. And people were excited.
Right.
But then I watched highlights of old cricket. And the highlights were very fun to watch.
Yeah.
And now, since I'm an American jerk boy and everything, look what I'm drinking here. It's a go all the time, right? No, it's caffeine. There's no stopping. Condense it all down. Maybe that I've been worn down over the years, and I can't sit and watch something unfold because baseball's a slow sport too. You just kick back. I've never went to a pro game where I didn't fall asleep. That's a fact. So this game might just be a little too slow for me now.
This is definitely the baseball of the Commonwealth. It's a slow game. It's a game that people enjoy over a long period of time, possibly while imbibing, possibly while keeping up a conversation with other people.
Yeah.
You sit down, you grab your, I don't know what they have for peanuts over there in England, but you grab your
crumpets,
and your beer, and you just lay back. That's it.
No. You don't do that. You know what? When the highlights of this I saw. I'll go back to that Doctor Who episode because this is when I think of Crooked. Ideally, you've got beautiful, rich people
Right.
sitting around in their white finery, sort of like the Derby. And I don't mean the infield. I mean the real well-to-do types.
Right, right.
And they've got their nice hats, and they sit around. They watch these gentlemen play, and they're in their nice little outfits. They're the umps or whatever those guys, the refs that look
Yeah.
like they're all wearing boss hog suits.
Yeah.
They're there, and it's a beautiful.
I believe that's the technical term.
It's a
for that
beautiful
finery.
aristocratic event.
Yeah.
Sort of like polo.
It's where you
right,
go to
Bo?
see and be seen.
Well, like polo.
Yeah.
Is in the States. I don't know if
Yeah.
they have polo over there. And so if you as much as that sounds like something I would detest, I kind of like that.
I like the idea of watching the upper crust enjoy themselves.
That's right, and
Yeah.
I would be there serving their drinks,
Right, right.
And then when they're not looking, you
just take a little
get a little
yourself,
something
yeah.
of it. I looked up an eBay boatster, and guess what? You can get this thing pretty inexpensively. I know you're stunned. It's still a budget title. Of course, these are all in the UK, the U of K. There's $7.50, $10, and $6.50. Takes them home. So if you're in the UK, if I was in the UK, all right, among the things I would do is load up on all these cheap games. You don't like them.
Right.
Load up.
Yep.
Because why not? And I bet some of you folks in the chat and a lot of people listening or watching this, if you're not doing this, just start buying everything you see. Just go crazy. Have a big Amiga, because the prices are so cheap on this stuff.
And these are box titles.
And we're
you
getting
said?
killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're boxed.
Yeah.
Oh, don't think they're not boxed. Suckers are boxed, boat. But yeah, I'm still going to look into Crooked. You never know, man. But yeah, I'm not even going to say it's less interesting than say Snuka, but Snuka had those really crazy characters.
I'm just
in
talking
it.
about the game. I'm not.
I am talking about the
game.
game.
You're not going to write this game off yet?
No, I'm talking about the sport of Crooked.
That's what I'm talking about too.
Yeah, because I think this would probably be, like I said, Jimmy White had Jimmy White, among other things. Those crazy characters.
Yeah.
Just like, of course, darts as well. This probably has some crazy characters. It's got the Gooch.
This one doesn't.
He may be. No, not this game. But I'm saying these games have the Gooch. I'm sure there's some crazy, zany crooketeers. Is that what they're called?
Every time you say cricket, it sounds like crooked.
That's right. Crooked.
So it just makes me think about these guys with like Snidely Whiplash
Now, let me tell
umpires.
you something. You made fun of me for the way I said snooker, and now I can't say crooked.
I've never made fun of the way you make. I say
Listen.
snooker better than you do.
Well, there is no right or wrong answer, Boat. Carry on.
So we got some user reviews from the old Discord
Oh,
channel.
man. Don't read these next week.
Figgy CTZ says, "F this effing game. Don't understand it. Don't care."
Figgy? This is a family show.
Pixels at Dawn has a different take.
I would hope.
A beautiful looking game with spot on UI and probably the best simulation of test cricket on the Amiga. Unfortunately, while all aspects of the game functioned well, I didn't quite get the strategy and so found it hard to get anywhere. A tutorial mode would be great. 7 out of 10.
I don't know about the AI being spot on. I don't think your teammates are that spot on. I'm gonna.
This is spot on UI. User
UI,
interface.
My bad. I misheard.
Yeah.
Carry on. It's the black bush.
That's all
To
right.
me.
And finally, Graham Vebke, no lover of cricket himself. He says, it's a cricket game and therefore is a waste of binary storage.
Wow.
But at least it looks like cricket and not a standing simulator. Man, I'd love to play a stand. I'd be great at that.
No, I'm not so good at that one.
I'm great at standing around.
Really?
Oh, man. You should watch me in action sometime.
Well, you're a school teacher. That's what you guys majored in.
That's exactly what
with a
we
minor in
majored in.
yelling.
That's right.
You're good at that too.
So he can see someone who likes cricket getting into this game. Sadly, the game doesn't have any ball tampering or match fixing options, which would have raised my score, mine too. So I'll give it a generous 2 out of 10 for the Caribbean style menu music, which I did enjoy.
By the way, FYI, I'm glad you mentioned that, Graham, since me and Bo skipped right over it. Who did the music for this? But I'll tell you. Ready for this?
I'm ready.
David Whitaker, a.k.a. Shadow the Beast and Speedball.
Ooh.
And Alfred Chicken. And I will say the music there is no in-game music except for this little jaunty tune that plays over the menu, right? And the music is good. But
Yeah.
Now, again, I think there could be a culture thing here, but why is there Calypso or steel drum music in this cricket game? Is that the official music of cricket, or is it just completely irrelevant to cricket?
Yeah, because think about how popular cricket is in the West Indies. It's like the #1 sport there.
So what? This is Australia versus England.
So, but
At least get a didgeridoo or something out there.
What would you like for music in a cricket game? What is the music of
Death
cricket
metal.
to you? Is that British?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe you should have Pulp play.
Who?
Never
The
mind.
Pope?
Yeah.
You threw yourself off there, didn't you?
Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to go death metal on me.
That's all I could think of. And it's right. Bro, what is the official music of the UK? Something like Oasis?
That's Pulp. They're a Britpop band.
I've never heard of them.
Okay. We got one new iTunes review this week, Aaron. Tapes from the Crypt.
I've heard of him.
Our good friend, Amigos Game Selection Committee member.
Yeah.
He says, this is an excellent podcast covering an underrated line of computers, and the host managed to keep things light, fun, and very informative, except for this show. This is this is a must-listen podcast for Amiga fans and for fans of retro gaming. So thank you, Tapes.
Yeah, I love Tapes.
Guys, iTunes reviews really help our discoverability, so if you haven't left us one yet, please do
You
so.
will be killed.
We'd appreciate it. Last week, Aaron, our supporter song challenge.
I got this one straight out of the gate.
This one was probably had the most correct answers
Yeah.
of any Patreon song challenge, supporter song challenge we've
You
ever
really,
done.
after that one before that, you went the exact opposite direction.
I did. I played to the crowd, as it were.
Oh my! Listen, so we're all dumb musical guys. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Pixels at Dawn with a late entry got this right. Oh, this was Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper.
We should have duetted on that one.
We could
I
have.
could have been the dude. He only says like 6 things. You could be Cyndi Lauper.
Is there a dude in that song?
Yeah. There's a dude that sings the chorus with her.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So Pixels at Dawn got it right. The Huck, Matthew Perron, Eric Nelson, Chris Folds, Gary Heather, Tapes from the Crypt, Figgy CTZ, Terry Howard, Pack Billy, Duncan Styles, and Barkbit. All got it right. So
Very
congratulations. If you know the answer to this week's supporter song challenge, you can write in at john@abigospodcast.com. And if you would like to support the show through either Patreon or PayPal donation, you can go to everythingamiga.com/support. And we want to thank Duncan Styles for setting up that new page for us.
Dunk's done a lot of good work over there.
Yeah, man. So here we go.
Oh man, brace yourselves. What is that?
I gotta.
I thought you had indigestion.
I gotta make sure I'm in the right
Are you
mind
gonna
space.
belch? Okay, go ahead. I'm ready. You know it's coming, and there's nothing you can do to stop it.
No matter which way I go, if I go low or high, it's gonna get. It's
like when you get kicked in the groin. There's those few seconds where you know the pain's gonna be excruciating, but you just can't prepare yourself.
Edvin Helland. Sorry, Edvin. Edvin Helland also got it correct.
Can
So
you?
I know.
Edvin, come get him.
I know.
Come get him. Whoops, I'm a fight off.
Gary Heather, free lunch. Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobsterminator, Craig McClelland, 10-minute Amiga Retrocast, Counting Virtual Sheep, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man Cave, Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Eder, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nibbs, Matthew Larry Moore, Andy Craig, Sean Zod, Aaron Lomax, Colin 419, Barkbit Rolenberg, Andrew Monk, Show the Zombie, John Cook, Dan Ross, Liv Kalan, Alan Kebab, Chicote, Leather Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy, Figgy CTZ, The Slow Norris, Stefan Sorgard Martinson, Edvin Helen, Blindo 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Foles, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham, Vebke, Lane Denson, Adam Brattersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Hucker, C. Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Alan Kebab Tapes from the Crypt, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim, Tommy Humbert, Stan, Daniel Bingston, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Cole,
Yeah, get down
Jason Wands, Pixels at Dawn, and Kilbjorn Barman.
Man, you sound like the deep voice guy from the Statler Brothers in there.
Oh,
No, that's the Ogreage Boys, dude.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on.
Sorry. Smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo.
Don't tell me. That's a great song.
Yeah, it is.
Very good. You got one.
Thank you.
I had no idea what the hell you were singing. You could have just been, I don't know. No one's going to get that.
No one's going to get
Does
it.
anyone know that? They don't.
Next week, Aaron. Arabian Nights.
Like Arabian Days.
Arabian Nights
never saw that
is our
movie.
game. I know we've talked about it before. I
Yeah.
think when we talked about that
Did
game.
you see the live action version that's coming out? It's got Will Smith as the genie.
No.
Oh, man.
Does it look great?
It's nightmare fuel, buddy. Holy smokes. He looks like a big Middle Eastern smurf. Coming
Really?
to get you. Not
Ooh.
good. Let's see. Robin Williams, Will Smith. Sounds like a match made in heaven right there.
Kind of the same.
It's going to
same
be
guy.
horrible.
You got any thoughts on Arabian Nights?
Hey, that's based on the arcade game, all right? You don't know?
Mm-mm.
I mean, no.
Well, this sounds like it's going to be a great episode.
I've never played it on. I've never played it on the show.
It's a new look. I like these
I think
games.
on the episode 200, we should just do nothing.
Oh, you know what? Never mind. That's why Pixels didn't send me a message. Because next week, it's not Arabian Nights. Next week's episode 200, Aaron.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do for this?
We're looking forward to it that much.
Here's what I want. Remember that game, World Games?
Yeah,
It had
man.
games. I want to go all over the world and find all these obscure sports, just like and just ruin them all with our misunderstanding of the rules and our complete lack of knowledge in the sport. That should be what we do that episode. We'll find every little country's got a sport, and we'll just go and screw it up. We got to find the games to go along with them. That'd be kind of fun. Because I feel like that's what we're doing in the UK. We just smash every sport they've got. We're stupidly staggering like idiots.
Kate P suggests a naked show.
Well, Kate, I don't think you. Listen, Amigo Aaron's weight loss wage is not over yet. There'd be a lot. That'd be Amigo Aaron's weight loss century. Pull that trick.
All right, guys. Thanks as always for watching or listening. Thanks to all the people hanging out with us in the chat. Treyguard 1982, Kate P, Pixels at Dawn, Duncan Styles, Andy Davis,
You gonna forget Edwin again?
Edvin Helland, listening from his man cave, beer in hand.
Man, he's living the dream.
I don't know if I said
Where
Pixels or
Edvin's
not.
is over in
Norway.
That's right.
Norse.
Beautiful.
Norge.
The beautiful country up there. Happy Nordic folk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Graham Vebke, Barkbit, Lobsterminator X, Henrik Anderson, Amiga Bong, Pack Billy. You missed our. Never mind. Juan wasn't on the show, but I had a friend from Korea here last week at Amiga Bong.
We tried to get him on.
Yeah, scheduling difficulties.
Retro Man Cave was in here. Who else did you mention? Who else we?
Retro Man Cave. Anybody?
We got
Whoever we skipped.
What are we gonna do next week? You want right in here because I know really you have a secret plan.
Oh yeah, I've got it all laid
now
out.
tell the people what to expect in Amigos episode 200.
No way. It's a total surprise.
It's a total surprise. Even I don't know.
Yeah, I've purposely left you out.
That's pretty much that's something else you can put under my gravestone. This man was left out. That is also the story of our team. How many times have I walked in? You're like, here's what we're doing. Hundreds of times.
That's very true.
We'll do something though.
It'll be fun. It'll be something. It'll be long. Get ready for a long episode. I think Brent's going to be here. I think Chad might be here. Amigo Chad, Hat Chad, not old Chad, unfortunately. The Wilcox Hour will have to wait. But anyway, we'll see you next time. Until then, adios.